Hello and welcome to our second episode of our video series here at St. Francis Ministries called Conversations. Today I'm joined by our Director of Recruitment and Retention, Vicki Kane. Vicki, thank you for being with us. And I'm also delighted to introduce our St. Francis Ministries Foster Family of the Year, Jasmine and Brigham Larson. Guys, thank you for being here, and let's dig into this conversation. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Fantastic.
Good.
Thanks.
Good. So first of all, I want to ask a question to Vicki about, tell me what does it take to become a foster parent? What are the requirements?
So, first, let me say there's quite a few myths out there that people have about being a foster parent. I think I hear I need to be wealthy, need to be married, I need to own a large home, when in reality, it is very simplistic. You do not need to be wealthy, you just need to provide an income other than the foster care stipend. You do not need to be married. Some of our most successful foster parents truly are single parents. And you do not need to own your own home. You can rent a home, does not have to be large. It just has to meet state requirements so that it can provide safety for youth in care.
Jasmine, Brigham, what did you know about the myths of foster care? Was that stuff that was in your minds when you thought about becoming foster care home?
Well, no, because we kind of jumped into a little bit more because of a family situation is when I started off before Brigham and I met. So I actually lived, I was 21, just turned 21. I think that's the oldest you or
That
youngest
is.
you can be.
It is. Yeah.
And I actually lived in a one-bedroom apartment. So I had to move into the living room so that my cousin could sleep in the room as part of one of the requirements and have her own space. But yeah, I didn't know really anything about it at all. They just said, yeah, this room's big enough and she can stay here and let's get this going. So yeah, I didn't know much else.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything before she talked to me about it, and when she brought up that, oh yes, I'm taking classes to be a foster parent, I was like, wow, I've never even thought about that, and she surprised me with it, and I was like, well, I grew up in a family of 7, so I mean, how bad can it be?
And we rented our first house. We actually rented too. So
Yeah. So as I understand it, when you were dating, you basically told him, this is kind of how it's going to be.
yeah, we just happened to meet when we were out one night, and he just was like he was very interested, and I was interested too, obviously, but yeah, we were interested in each other, and I just said, oh yeah, by the way, he actually drove me to I got licensed in Concordia, so we live in Salina, but we had all the classes and training in Concordia, and he actually drove me to my classes, and so he'd take me there and pick me up, and we'd ride back and just kind of talk about it a little bit, and then we added him onto the license when we got engaged and we're going to get married and everything. So
There's a lot of information, a lot of
It
stuff
is
I
a
didn't.
lot to, yes,
Yeah,
to retain.
at first you're just like, wow, that all this happens on a daily basis.
yeah.
I want to loop back real quick and have you tell a little bit more of the story of how you became a foster parent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, my cousins had came into foster care. My aunt had 5 children, and she had older kids. There was 3 that were above the age of 15 at the time, and something people probably suspect is that older kids have a harder time finding placement just because of what people may perceive of their behaviors or how maybe they acted as teenagers themselves. So, definitely don't want to parent those kinds of kids, is like what people say. So, but yep, nope, they just called me and I was old enough and they just asked if I would be interested in taking in the oldest of the cousins. They were trying to keep the siblings together and were having a hard time with that as well. But they had finally agreed to have someone take the younger 2 and then the middle 2. She just had been left kind of stranded by herself on night to night placements. St. Francis just doing the best they could to provide for her on a daily basis. And so yeah, I took her in and she lived with me in my apartment and we just hung out for about 6.5, 7 months until she was the first of them. They let her go home first to reintegrate, so that she could get back to her mom. But that's kind of how I got going. And then I just kind of saw there was a need, and we met in March, and she left in February, so it kind of just all corresponded with each other there. So
Yeah, I just kind of went along with it. So
Smart man. Smart man.
didn't want to fight her on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been doing this now how long?
we'll be 7 years official. So 7 years of classes in March, but 7 years officially licensed in July.
It doesn't seem like it's been that
Yeah,
long,
it doesn't.
honestly.
It goes pretty fast.
And why doesn't it seem like that?
Um, I feel like, well, for us, every parent I think says they got lucky. Like a lot of the kids we have are really good kids, and to me, it hasn't been like a terror to have them the entire time. It's not
Yeah.
the scary thing at all times. It's just kind of like a daily basis of, I mean, when they come home, we're all doing everything together, and then the days just keep flying by. It seems just
Yeah.
well, not hanging out with each other, but
Yeah.
having as many kids as we have, you hear about all their days and everything, and then the day's over and it all starts all over again the next day, and it just yeah.
Yeah. Would you tell us how many kids you have?
Currently,
So we've adopted four, and two of them are off kind of doing their own thing. They're older now, so one's in college and the other one's just kind of doing her own thing. And then the other two, we have a senior, and then our adopted daughter. And we've had them actually, they were the first placements we ever took in about 7 years ago. So we've had them a very, very long time. We've watched them grow up.
since the start, yeah.
Yep, since the start, we had them the next day after we got the call to get licensed and everything. And then we have one of our own that we had last year. We have one that will be here in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we have three current placements that we've had for a couple of years. The shortest one being almost a year, but the rest of them we've had for quite some time.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and we've got three that come home every holiday, and like we're their parents, and they're
Yeah.
they're our kids, so they come home every holiday. So
We try it again when we come home.
yeah, they're having fun. So we'll see.
So in that way, like just like all kinds of parents, navigating, the journey from childhood into teenager years, from teenager years into adulthood. Um, some might say, well, that's kind of feels like the way you started having a family or sort of bringing your family together is a little bit out of order. But so what anything that you learned in that you would share with people?
About doing it out of order.
Yeah, well, or doing something a little different than maybe what most people think is the normal way to have a family.
Well, I can say when we got our adopted two, their older sister is not adopted, but when we got them, our intentions were not to adopt. We were very reintegration.
Well, they weren't really saying that was a possibility at
Yeah,
that
their
time.
and their parents did work pretty hard, and so we have contact with all of them still. But and so I don't think we actually intended to do it out of order, except for maybe taking the kiddos, get them back to where they were going. But then when it turned in that direction, it was kind of because I mean that was a very new relationship for even Brigham and myself, and so yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell people what to do. I don't think there is a right order necessarily, and so it's kind of like a
To
trick
build
question a little bit. But
to build a connection with them is pretty scary and hard at the same time
Absolutely.
because you want to relate to them, but you also don't want to be, I don't know, like this, I don't know, all on top of them, everything like that, I guess. So
So jumping in, kind of as you were young at the time, and still to me, you look kind of pretty young, but you've grown in your experience. Can you kind of go back to the time before you sort of knew what you were doing as a foster parent, and sort of say to somebody who might be considering becoming a foster parent, what things to be nervous about, what things were pleasant surprises.
I think it really just depends on kind of the age group and things that you take in. I mean, I will be completely honest. I probably Brigham had started a new job when we got in our first set of kiddos, and I cried every day for like a month because I was so stressed out because it's a lot of you're dealing with like your emotions, especially because I mean we were first time parents, so it's a little different if you're like because we were 21 and 25, so we were pretty young, but we cried a lot, and we worked through it, and we just kind of it's just you're dealing with the emotions of kids who don't really know what's going on. All of our kids were first time in care, and so we're trying to deal with what they're going through plus what we're going through, and it's just a lot of learning together. And we were really lucky with our first set of kiddos that we ended up adopting. We kind of say we all taught each other, and we all kind of grew up together, which I mean, we are the parents, but we operated a lot on mutual respect with them. And so it's just kind of we respect them, they respect us, and we just kind of go from there. But it's been a
there's a
journey.
lot of shots in the dark.
Yeah, I mean it's just I think it's even if you have a kid from the like even with our biological daughter, like you try something, you're like, oh, maybe not do that. And it's kind of the same thing when you have older kids, but at least they can something I've always appreciated about the older kids is they can at least say, no, I don't like that, or no, let's not do that. I think that makes probably having older kids even easier, because you're not trying to guess what they want or what they're doing. They're just kind of like, no, mom, no, dad, we're not doing that. So
Yeah, I mean, when I said kind of out of order, I mean it's like not very many people start with teenagers and then go to infants and toddlers.
yeah,
So
that's
um,
that's been
you
good
you
though.
may be
They've been
ahead of the
good.
curve, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah, they've been really good big brothers and sisters though. They were a little scared of our youngest Elena when she was born because she was so tiny. But now they just kind of cart her around and carry her around, and they like they'll play with her and run around the house and stuff like that. So I think it was good that we had some older kids that she can kind of look up to, and we're very very diverse family. We have all ages, genders, races, and so I think that's been really good for our biological daughter too, to kind of just see all the inclusiveness of different types of families and stuff just from birth.
Yeah, and it also sounds to me like there's as you describe being supportive of reintegration. Those are sort of wider circles of family and connection that your whole family is a part of and sort of drawing together, and it's a really lovely thing. I'm also struck by the fact that at 21 and 25, you are not that much older than these first teenagers you are bringing into your home. It's a pretty remarkable responsibility to take on,
That's
and
for that
we're
mutual
thankful for that.
respect. Thank you
That
so
that
much.
was the part that was scary. Well, I guess I can't say scary. It felt like you don't know how to really it when you wanted to reward them. Like you didn't want to seem like their best friend, but when you need to talk to them about something serious when they're in trouble, it's like, how do I talk to this kid who's maybe 6 years, 7 years younger than I am, or less, or more? I mean, but yeah, it was difficult for me to get in that mindset. Like, all right, I gotta talk to him because this wasn't okay. How do I go about it in a way that isn't gonna be taken like too seriously, and they're gonna run away or something like that? Because that was a big fear in my mind, and of course that did happen several times. But that was
They
over.
came back.
Yeah, they came back. Yeah,
Yes, for the record.
we found them. We found them.
That's Thank you for sharing about that. I want to turn to Vicky a little bit and ask you, what is it that St. Francis does and is able to provide to folks who are coming into this sort of sight unseen or not sure exactly what it's going to be like.
Absolutely. St. Francis has been doing this amazingly for over 75 years. So we're no strangers to the arena, right, with child welfare. I think what they do best is they have well educated staff who offer 24/7 support. We also connect with other nonprofit community agencies who help us with resources to provide families with hard good needs that they might need to make the state regulations, such as fire extinguishers, which is something that they've added in Kansas this year, carbon monoxide detectors, and things like that. So they're very creative. We have a wonderful licensing specialist staff who are very creative in trying to figure out how to make this license work with these families. We also offer appreciation throughout the year. We certainly do a big appreciation twice a year. It's usually around the holidays and then in May for National Foster Care Month. And I also think St. Francis does a really good job of helping families navigate this large system so that they don't feel alone and so that they can learn who to go to and how to be that professional partner while caring for the kids and youth.
Can I invite you to say a little bit more about the different ways that those different programs of appreciation?
Oh, absolutely.
This is the time to make some pitches.
I know, right? So, historically, we've always had an appreciation at the Kansas State Fair. And then COVID hit, right? And it went away. And we keep hearing from our families, are we going to go back to the fair? Are we going to go back to the fair? And so we're excited to try to get that movement going again. It was really a beautiful thing to see. They all had t shirts that were the same color, had the same St. Francis saying, and watching families come with their own children, their children that they're caring for, kinship families came, and they would parade around the fair and partake in food, in rides, and events. Was amazing. It was just a really, really, and then we provided a meal. So we look forward to trying to get that back into St. Francis tradition. We did that for many years.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working really hard to happen. Christmas time, we've done several things. We have done vouchers for hams and turkeys where families can go and purchase at their own leisure, right? Because sometimes they're traveling for the holidays, and so maybe they want to reserve it for when they get back, so they don't have to cook, or however that might look for them. We've done different ideas as far as that goes. We've done product before. I know we've done blankets, we've done lunch totes, and things like that. But we really strive to make sure that we know that our staff are taking care of our families, and our families feel appreciated, and we couldn't do what we do without our families.
Yeah, yeah, and I would echo what you're saying of those things. When we're looking to have our foster families supported by the wider community, especially at Christmas time, one of the biggest things we do is Christmas for Kids, and that's a great opportunity for churches, community groups. Really, anybody who has a heart for kids to be able to make sure that not a single kid goes without the celebration of Christmas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like the kids are always pretty well taken care of
They
on
are.
Christmas and Thanksgiving and such.
Now, speaking of also sort of sharing the message of what it is to be a foster family and showing appreciation and sort of drumming up support, I'm aware that you have an event that you have done up in Topeka. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Fostering on the Fae?
Oh, Fostering on the Fae was in Salina.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Gotcha. No, it's
Salina.
okay.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
No, yeah, yeah. So we do a couple events a year. We also partner with you guys call it Christmas for Kids. I call it Fostering Christmas because I didn't know that it had a name, and then I just kind of went with it one time. So we actually work with one of the workers in town, me and the kids in Brigham, and we help match all of the foster kids in the area. Right now, I think we've gotten about 65 matched so far, and so we're still working on that. And then I help spearhead a couple fundraisers, so we're working really hard on that one. But Fostering on the Fae was new for us this year in downtown Salina. That's where we live. And we always try to do something for Foster Care Awareness Month because I really like to include the kids. We used to sponsor local group homes and things like that, and just try and get them like their basic needs and things that they wanted. But this year we worked with our worker pretty heavily and a lot of the other agencies. It was supposed to be more of a recruitment event, but we had prizes donated, pool passes. It was downtown. It was a free event for the community and with primarily focused towards foster kiddos and foster families. But they came down, they got all kinds of free stuff, bouncy houses. We had a DJ. It was kind of like a little like block party in our thing downtown. So it was a lot of fun, and the community did a lot of donations, and they helped with that. But we try to also get involved with around the same time periods as the St. Francis stuff, and they're really good about helping us find sponsors and getting the messages out, and just getting all the kids and the families from even other agencies, just so everyone feels appreciated. So.
Yeah, and it's helpful to know, we're kind of alternate together, right? I mean, there are multiple agencies, there are multiple folks trying to make a difference, and so efforts like that, really kind of help bring that to the public so they can know about it, and also sort of shower those kids with the love and care they deserve.
It was also cool to see how many people would even reach out to us and just talk
Yeah.
to us about, I mean, wanting to get involved. They're like, how can I help? I'm not really like they would say that like they're not rich enough or something like that to help out like by taking one in. I'm like, well, it's really not that bad. If you have an apartment or a house that, they approve, then you're already in. All you got to do is just sign up and then just kind of keep going forward with it,
And
see what
then
happens.
and there's people that just feel like maybe that's not something they can take on in general. So I think that especially Brigham's family has been a really big and support, but helping us get kids adopted for the back to school event and the summer event, and then obviously the Christmas one. But yeah, my family, his family, and then we know a lot of community people just from all the organizations, and so it's another way for people who maybe aren't ready to do fostering, and we try to get the word out when we're doing that as well. But yeah, they'll match up a couple kids. We have offices that come in and they contact me pretty early every year asking when they're going to be able to get some kiddos to buy some gifts and stuff. But it's become a pretty exciting thing. I think and the kids get to our kiddos. They also all get to adopt another kiddo, and so they'll go buy all their stuff. And now my sisters are old enough that they do it too, and so it's pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
there's a lot of help.
It's a
Like
bit. It's a
people don't
busy
realize how
time.
much they get help with it. So
Yeah.
So you guys are all in. You are. This is a vocation, a calling for you guys. And I can imagine there might be some people sort of saying, "Well, I don't know if I want to jump 2 feet in." Vicky, are there people who can do this part time? Are there different ways to engage as a foster parent?
Absolutely. There is room at the table for everyone. If it's not your season to foster, you can support families by dropping off meals, helping out with Christmas events, things like that. If you don't want to go all in and do long term placement, we have what we call respite, and it is so needed. The respite provides a weekend or maybe spring break, a week here or there, whatever, but it gives a break for the foster parents so that they can go and have date night. They can go Christmas shopping without children so they can fill their cup back up so that they can pour into the children again. So, absolutely.
Yeah. And do we have, can you tell us a little bit about the different kinds of resources, like online resources that we have for folks who want to learn more about all of this?
Absolutely. So, we have online resources. We also partner with Children's Alliance, which is where our pre service comes from. And so, foster parents obviously have to be trauma informed, trauma trained as well. But we certainly, anybody can go to our St. Francis Ministries .org website, and you can click on foster care, learn more about it, how to get involved, and fill out a name, what you're interested in, and we will reach out to you promptly and see how we can get you in a place at the table.
Awesome. Do you want to say a little bit more about the sort of the training that's involved?
The training is a pre-service training, which is 30 hours, and it is now our MAPS foundation. Used to be called TIPS MAP, and way back then it had another name when I took it, which was PS MAP. So it's evolved, and clearly, which is a good thing, right? We've learned more about the brain, we've learned more about trauma, and so we're constantly being educated and being trauma informed. And so that is consists of 30 hours. Usually, we run classes virtually, sometimes in person as well. You are allowed to take that class one time a week. They meet usually in the evenings. Every once in a while, we'll have a Saturday to accommodate those that they're not able to make our evening classes. And it usually runs from 6 to 9, and it's a 10-week course. Another form of training is what we call our Deciding Together. There are oftentimes foster parents who decide to take on this rewarding journey who have difficult shifts, such as fire department shifts or police work or things like that. And so we are able to have a trainer come and meet with them one on one in what we call our Deciding Together as well. And that usually takes about 7 weeks.
Um, Guys, what is the typical day in the Larson household like?
Well,
Uh,
I mean, when we come back, well, I mean, we have 5 dogs too. So first thing for me is let out all those Chihuahuas and the Rottweiler and the Border Collie and
Yeah.
let them go crazy. And then the kids all get home, they start doing their chores. And I mean,
we opted to send. We have quite a few children. We have one that's online, and the rest of them attend in person school.
Oh, yeah.
But a big thing that we help with, which is probably gonna sound a little weird, is that we make sure that our kids have driver's license and cars. So our adopted kid and our foster kids, we help with both of them. Just well, one because there are children from the minute they come in the door. So also they're old enough; they need to be getting around too.
Yeah.
But our kids actually attend school out of town from where we live.
Okay.
And so they get up and they kind of go. They have after school activities. The older, our boys are older, and they help, with that kind of stuff. And then all of our 15 and up, we try to have them working at least one day a week. So they do that, and then we make dinner. And even when I make dinner, sometimes they're filling their spicy ramen hot bowls, so it doesn't really matter that I make
Ramen's
dinner.
yeah.
Yeah, they really like those for some reason. But yeah, I mean that's kind of that, and then they come back. It's just all craziness. We try to plan at least one thing to do a weekend a month, but with all the schedules and things like that, it's been a blessing to have the older kids because you get to see them kind of come back to family time, but then also kind of explore themselves, and it gives I think everyone a little bit of we enjoy our large family, but it gives everyone a little bit of break from each other, and they kind of retire to their rooms and play their games and come out when they need something. So
Sometimes they'll all come out one at a time
they
and
do,
they'll
yeah.
like hang out and talk to us and we'll just have a pretty big chit chat, and then that one will leave, then another one will come back, and
It's like
then
they
it's their
schedule
turn.
times
Yeah,
with each other.
it's like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Or
You guys
two of our
just
boys, we sat downstairs, and he's gonna make fun of me, but they sat downstairs, and we had 19 stockings that get hung up at our house this year.
I
And
don't have
he's
a fireplace anymore. It's
Yeah,
covered
no,
by
it's
yeah.
stockings. And so the boys were secretly excited, my 18-year-olds. And so they were down there and they were just like hanging up the stockings and they were just kind of talking about all that kind of stuff and, just sitting down there. And they sat down there for hours and just kind of talked about it. So it's just, they come out of their rooms for different things. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think holidays are the good times. Like they want to help out with everything, decorations.
yeah, doing a tree tonight.
None of them want to get on the ladder though. So
No.
I mean, it's,
Still your job.
yeah, yeah,
So I think your passion for helping teens is and sibling groups is really apparent. Is that how you set out to do this? Is that what you were thinking it was going to be like, or tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, you think one thing before it all starts, and then when they come in, your mind's just kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do here?
Yeah, I was in the classes because the license started with my preferences. So when you get licensed, you kind of put preferences in, and I tried not to be super exclusive because you never really know what you can do until you're doing it. And so I tried not to. And then that first call for 3 kiddos, that's when that kind of happened. But I just remember sitting in that. I think it was week 6. They brought. Kid like a foster family and then an adopted kiddo in, and we just kind of sit there and we talk to them and realize the need for teenagers and older kids. And I just remember sitting there just crying because I just wanted I thought a little kid, I thought that'd be easier. I'm kind of a small person and I wasn't very old, so I was kind of scared of the big kids, and I said nope, I need a teenager. And so we make the joke at the household that the oldest one that we have of our adopted sets, we only ended up with the other 2 because she was a teenager and she had little brothers and sisters, but they call themselves it's gonna sound weird, but the instant
Like, I
family
did have to
kids
say that.
because they're
That's
the
a great.
exact same.
It's
Yeah.
almost the exact same. That's how it happened. I mean, they said all the things we said. We're lucky. These kids are great, and that was the honeymoon period. And then after that, chaos all like kind of happens one at a time. Like I said, they take turns.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you can have a game plan in your mind, but honestly, it falls apart
Yeah.
pretty quick, and then you just kind of work with it.
I think after when COVID hit, and we started getting more kids, and we decided siblings, so we ended up with that sibling set, and then we ended up with one sibling, and she was so sad. She hadn't lived with her sisters for a really long time, and so then we ended up with one sister and then another sister, so we ended up with another sibling set, and so then it was just kind of like the Larsons. They have all the siblings, and
Keeping them
so
together was a big part.
yeah, oh yeah,
It
it was
helped
super
them cope
important.
with the whole situation. So,
It helps healing.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It sounds so important to you guys to be able to be the kind of family that can do that, can keep the siblings together, can take in kids who might not be taken in by other folks. And we're so thankful for that offering that you make, opening your home in that way. I want to turn back to Vicky again for a second and say, how long have you been doing this? How did you get into foster care program?
So I have been doing this work for a little over 20 years. I was actually introduced to this work by a church friend, school friend, who was fostering, and saw her at church, saw that she had an added member to her family, clearly knew that it was not a biological child, and so had asked her in church, who's this? What's going on? And she said, oh, we're going to go down and have donuts after church. Come join us. This is, a good time for us to chat. I was like, okay. And she then said to me, we do foster care. My first reaction, honestly, was like, are you crazy? You have 4 kids of your own. Where do you find time to do this, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that she said to me really, really resonated. And she said, if not me, then who?
Mhm.
And it really started to make me think. And so I started out with respite because I was not going to do long term. I didn't have time for that. And then eventually the respite turned into long term, and the passion is there. And I think honestly, it's about being a cheerleader for our youth. It's taking care and having that responsibility to guide our future generation.
Yeah. So could you tell us how many kids you have seen in your foster parenting in your career?
So mine was actually short lived. I had nowhere near 22 placements. And how that happened was I decided, once I got involved in it, I decided to come and work for nonprofit recruitment of foster care. And so then they put parameters on that, which is for good reason, right? And so then could not foster eventually once I became in a position for that. But I still feel like in my heart I was fostering because I was able to share the passion and able to train and really cheerlead those families who were thinking about it. And often people think about it for a very long time before they make the call to action, right? Yeah. And we hear that a lot. And so I still feel like I was walking alongside of that rewarding journey. I also saw the impact that it made on my children as well. For them to be able to understand there's all walks of life, we're all broken people. And when restoration happens, it's a beautiful thing.
And we had, we have had many amazing workers through St. Francis. Like, I have met some of the greatest people I've ever known. Like, could never, like, I sometimes I get emotional talking about it because they're the best people. And so, really just, I have a lot of people that will answer after hours. And so, I had actually really wanted to get involved in St. Francis, which is how we started doing more of the volunteer stuff with the kids, because I actually wanted to work for St. Francis when I was switching after COVID. And when they said that we couldn't work and foster for the same thing, I said, why? There's no way I want to be licensed with anyone else. And so that's when we made some calls, and I think Vicky's in on a few of those emails and things like that, like other things that we could do. So because I couldn't see myself being with a different organization, and so I was trying to get involved in this one as much as possible. So now we're just kind of all in on different levels, but
it is like one big family. It really is. It's a partnership with one big family.
Um, if you would, would all be able to sort of jump in on this question. Somebody's watching this and thinking, they've been thinking about it for a long time. They're sort of waiting for a sign or for something that will sort of nudge them into taking that first step. What would you say to somebody like that?
It is scary. I mean, it wasn't easy to even think about it. Like, you're this 21, 25-year-old person, and you're just like, I don't even know if I'm ready for this, but it's like diving in a pool. It's going to be really cold, but you're going to get used to it. So,
and I mean, like, if you need a sign, this is your sign. If you're watching this, just do it. It's really, it goes, like, I mean, it just goes so fast. And so it seems, maybe like right when you're in the trenches or when you're having a bad day, because we've had a fair share of bad days, but
yeah, there are almost as many as there are good. Well, I think a
way
lot
more
more
good
good
days.
days.
Yeah, than there are bad. But
It feels like with how many kids we have, it just kind of feels like sometimes it just all comes down because it's one at a time, like I usually say.
But just, it's just important, just, get in there and do it. And you can, like, just start with respite. That's what we did at first. We had 2 respite placements, and then we were ready for the long term. And I mean, you're gonna get in there and you're gonna do it, and it's gonna be okay. I mean, as long as you got a good support system, which, like I said, we've been very lucky that we do.
It was very rewarding, to just see them grow up and then like
succeed.
Yeah, I mean,
more
like, you're like
bonds and
raising other
succeed,
kids that you didn't even. And now sometimes I just look at our adopted daughter. She's 15. She just turned 15. We've had her since she was about 8. And I look at her now and I said, I don't even know what I was a senior in high school when you were born, and I don't know what I was even doing for the other 7 years of your life. And it's just weird. Once you meet them, it's like, where were you this entire time? So.
What would you say to somebody who's thinking about it and just trying to get off the block?
Yeah, all of those things, absolutely. But honestly, I think that if you just get into a pre-service class, the classes are designed to help you make a informed decision whether fostering is right for you and your family. So that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, I think that power of decision making is really critical, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's learning, the things that you're going to experience, and then kind of connecting that with what I've heard in this conversation is this deep love that started with sort of a singular act and is now sort of grown into this incredible thing with your family.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky.
Oh, well, yeah, I would say it's. I mean, every day is pretty awesome with them. When we go on vacations and everything, you always see the smiles on their face, and you're like, "What would it be like if this never happened?"
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine just being with Brigham.
What?
mean,
I feel like it'd be boring, honestly,
yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of things I kind of keep looking back on. I'm like, how did I even get here? It's a blur now, but I mean, it's pretty awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah, talk a little bit about family vacations.
Oh, we like to travel.
She
Yeah,
likes to
I like to
she
travel.
likes to
I'll be like, "Hey,
travel.
we're gonna go to New York next month." So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, we are always looking for, like, good deals, and, like, fun places to take the kids, and we usually just say, "Hey, if you could go do something on a trip, what would you wanna do?" And it's always, they like the ocean, and so we went to Brigham's, family part of his family lives in California, and so wait, it's his mom, yeah. So, we've been to California a couple times, we've gone to Nashville, New York, they really liked Texas, Oklahoma. We decided after we'd already visited a bunch of the Six Flags that was our goals. We were going to try and go to
She wants to hit every Six
every
Flags.
Six Flags. They
Aw.
like
That's a
it.
good
They're really about those roll. I don't like. They're
Sure.
sketchy,
Yeah.
but I mean they like the roller coasters. So
Universal was pretty good too.
oh yep, Universal Studios. We took our younger to. That was a lot of fun. But we just try to like get out and go do things. We have 3 seniors this year, and we really want to go to maybe Mexico. I'm a little nervous, so we'll see. But
Yeah,
that one we're trying to figure
might be a
out.
stretch with the passports and everything.
Yeah,
We'll see.
so we're trying to work that out, obviously, with the ministry, but at least maybe a cruise or something. We're gonna go take them. They get to pick for their senior year.
It's
So
awesome to like take them and let them do
they get to
things
do new
that
things.
yeah
Yeah.
they've never done before. And honest, as a kid myself, I was like, I hope this is really awesome for them, and I feel like those memories are gonna hold for a while, well, forever, hopefully.
I'm convinced our adopted son could probably be an Olympic skier. He'd never been skiing before. I had been skiing, but it's dangerous. And
But
now
took it pretty fast too.
he just flies off those slopes, man. So they want to do that this year again.
So some people might be thinking like that, that the kind of life that you guys live, oh, that's not going to be possible if I, do this, right? I'm going to be tied down, or I'm going to be incapable of living life. But you guys have a rich and full life that you've been describing.
Really,
Take them with you.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
simple.
just take
It's
them,
simple.
yeah, take
That's
them.
what we do. I don't like to go. I mean, sometimes we try to go. We'll probably plan a trip maybe just for the 2 of us here soon. But it's just so boring. We went on a honeymoon and we left. We had 7 kids when we got married. They were all in the wedding. And we had 7 of them, foster and adopted, at that time. And we had fun, but it's not. But the whole time we were like, oh, you know
The
what?
kids would love this.
They would have liked this. It's like, dang it.
Well, anytime we
mean-
do something without them, it's like, oh, we should.
Right?
Now we have
you
to
know,
go back.
It's honeymoon as respite care is an interesting concept for me, but and I do think you got to take time for yourselves, of course.
Well, we don't use respite. We actually, our family came in.
They help
We're,
a lot.
yeah, we just kind of, which I no disrespect to anybody that likes to do respite. I understand everyone needs a break, but we just like to further kind of pound into the kids that they are our children, and so in a regular kid you'd send them to grandma and grandpa. You wouldn't send them to somebody they
Absolutely.
don't know. So nope, they stay
Sure.
at our house.
I have
I
5
meant,
sisters.
I meant
and-
respite for you guys.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some other ways that a foster family can be supported by the people around them?
Well, our neighbor offered to make a meal. Well, I've had one lady. I just delivered to the spot over in White City. She was asking if she could cook me a meal for all my kids, my wife, and everything. And I was like, that's so nice. I mean, you really don't have to, because I don't know how I'm gonna take it back in my truck. But
Yeah,
but
we got nice people. We had a baby. They brought stuff over and took care of they helped with the kids, and we have family that offers to take them and stay with them, and like just that kind of thing. I mean, it's just very family dynamic.
Go to events, like see what everybody's talking about. Well, I mean, that they have all the information, what the organizations they can go through. And
We also like our kids to know that they can be resources for other kids that are in their position.
Absolutely.
And so they actually volunteer and assist with any event that we put on, and they'll introduce themselves and they'll just say, yep, this is our family, And so we've had a couple of especially our older boys that will say, yeah, if you ever need anything, just reach out. Or if they'll know a kid at school from custody, maybe, they just know.
yeah, we've had a couple other homes like with
They've
kids
met
that
kids
reached
at
out to
school
us.
and they reached out to us and we took them for respite and we've hung out with them and done stuff or taken them shopping and things like that. So we like we like to think of ourselves as a resource and like our neighbors and family as a resource, but our kids are resources for other kids too, because once you feel safe and secure, then you can start helping put into other people that may not have all of that. So we're just pretty lucky all the way around.
Yeah. It sounds like you both build the support around you, and people are willing to to share their support. What is something important for somebody looking in from the outside to know? Like what do people need to know about the kids who are in foster care? And this is anybody can answer this. or all of you can answer.
Just
this.
to
I try. Well, I try not to make the differentiation between foster kids and regular kids anyway. The only thing people know about our family is these are my children, and so when we have events and people come over, because our house is the holiday hosting house, and we have a new kiddo, they'll just be like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Where's your room at? Like, which room did you get? You know?" And so they're, and they'll talk to them for a little bit, and so I mean, if you have questions, I think that it's important to ask just so that you're informed. You never want to, speak out of turn for any child that you don't know, but it's also it's not like a museum type of situation. It's not show and tell. So maybe ask them a question, ask them their name, like hey, like how are you doing and things like that. But our families have all been pretty good, and the community that we live in, they don't really pry too much. It's just like, oh, you must be one of those honorary Larsons, and so they're just like, that would be me. And so even the school, they're very supportive. They've got both principals actually have adopted kids too, and so it's a pretty big community. And so anybody looking in, it's fine to have questions. It's fine to be curious. If you're interested in it, we'll always give you a recruitment kind of if that's why you're asking. But just kind of personal details we just don't really share and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sort of helping to break down some of the stereotypes around foster kids or normal kids. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all kids.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
And
kids.
a kid might come into care, and I think one of the things that our organization has really learned, and is really important for us to understand is the power of trauma in all of that. And so you might want to speak to that a little bit, Vicki.
I think one of the things that I'd like to speak on that is just it's overwhelming sometimes when you see things on a piece of paper or on the referral. And so I always say it's a piece of paper, it's not the child. And behaviors are a form of language, a form of feelings. And so if you can look past the paper, past the referral, I think the lens changes drastically for people. I think that you're able then to get to know the inner child, where they're at in trauma, and then start to provide the healing that they're needing. And so that I think that is one of the scariest things that you mentioned with kids coming into care. I certainly know that had I not had natural supports, every referral that came my way, I was like, oh, I don't think so. Oh, I'm not sure about that one, right? And then finally, my friend said, no, I think you can do this. I think this one you're quite qualified for it. This will be fine. And so it just takes somebody to have that confidence and hold your hand to jump off that cliff, right? But then once you realize that it is paper, it is behaviors, it's not the child. And once you get to know the child and know the behaviors and understand where the trauma lies, then you're on your journey of healing.
Yeah, the caseworkers, honestly, they won't mess with you or anything. They're gonna know. I mean, if you're first starting out, it's not gonna be a sign like they know you exactly. They're not gonna just toss you like the worst kids in the like in the industry or anything like that. Which that I don't think there's a whole lot of bad kids anyway. There's a lot of them who are scared, who just got into this, and now they're wondering where they're gonna go, what's gonna happen to them. Am I gonna be a part of a family or anything like that? Am I going to go back to my family? So just like she said, the blue books, you don't want to go off of those. I mean,
We
they
don't.
have
And we
Yeah.
don't. We don't even
Yeah.
read them.
Say a little more about that.
So the blue book. She says referral. It's a blue book with all their
we just call
stuff.
it blue.
Yeah, we just call it
Yeah.
blue. Kids just act out. Like they have a bad day and they act out. And I mean, even kids we've had for 7 years, like they just act out sometimes. And so I would.
Sometimes they're 10 years old and they lit a anthill on fire and they
Yeah.
call that
Right.
like they'll write stuff in there that doesn't really
Which
match.
it's all important, just to keep in mind and things like that. It's all, sometimes if this kid isn't kept busy, with Play-Doh, they'll find something else to do.
I need somebody to give me some Play-Doh to
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But no, we just nope, we give every kid the opportunity. And I will say that our oldest son, he's not perfect on paper by any means. He bounced a lot. He'd been in and out a lot. Termination from both parents, and he aged out with us, and he is working so hard, and he is doing really, really great. And the reason that he had such a hard time finding placement is because you read his book, and then it's just kind of like, oh, we don't know if we want to do that, and so we're just like, we'll figure it out. Like, let's drop him off.
There's a lot of walls they put up at first, and you kind of have to break it down. And then sometimes it's like pushing the gray line, and seeing how far they can push the parent sometimes. And
I think that's the big mutual respect thing we talk about. It's like we're not dealing most of the time with little kids. And so like you're a, 16, 17, 18-year-old, you have thoughts, opinions, views, you're like a fully formed person. So the best thing we can do is respect you, you respect us. And as long as you don't continue with these behaviors, or if you have a bad day, like it's fine to admit that, you've had a bad day. And then we just kind of move forward from it. It's just part of being in a family. So,
we do talk to
and
them
referrals are scary sometimes. So
Yeah.
we're just like, eh.
we do talk to them like adults too. We don't try to belittle them or make them sound like kids, or they don't know what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's times, but we try to tell them, do you believe like the punishment is reasonable?
Oh yeah,
Like, do
the
you think
punishment's got to fit the crime with those
Yeah,
older kids, or they are
that's
like,
how we
this is
feel.
dumb.
Yeah.
So really a lot of what you're saying is, being a foster parent is being a parent.
Yeah.
It's all the kind of the same things that somebody who isn't a foster parent needs to be doing with their families.
Be stern,
Yeah.
and soft at the same time,
Yeah,
or whatever.
and
Absolutely.
figuring out what works for each kid. Every kid is different,
Yep.
and
yeah.
some kids need this kind of treatment, some kids need that.
And
kind
we
of
don't
treatment.
do
Yeah.
cross in our house. We do not have cross the board like punishments, rewards, things like that, because that will absolutely never work a day in your life.
No.
So yeah.
You guys have learned a lot. Probably there's been some trial and error in that. It sounds like you really trust the workers from St. Francis, the people who are in your community of support. Can you imagine doing it any other way?
Without St. Francis, or
No.
I don't.
You can
think
you
so.
can plug St. Francis. We'd love
Oh,
that.
oh,
No.
okay.
But
Well, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
But
just-
that's how come when I wanted to work for them and we'd have to license, I said absolutely not. Like there's like the people that we have met even today, like everybody is, and there's the stigma around foster care. There's you hear more about the bad than the good and everything like that. But it's just, I mean, that's any job and anywhere you go. It's just louder because there's kids involved, and so which is important and it's an important topic. But absolutely not. We love St. Francis. We love our workers. We have all, like, there's not a single person that I've ever met in this organization at all that hasn't, I don't think, had our best interests at heart. And they genuinely love and care for the kids. I don't know that I could ever. We've talked about if we ever even moved out of state or something. I don't know what we would even do, because it's just we love it here.
they have the family at heart. They have your best interests in mind, as well as the kids. The kids are probably their priority, and then the parents. But I mean, they do help the parents a lot.
Well, you can move to
I was
Oklahoma,
gonna
Kansas,
say.
Nebraska,
We
We're looking
Texas.
at Oklahoma,
Only those
so yeah, so
Oklahoma was one.
I
yeah.
don't
As
know
long
if
as
I
you're in the
could-
footprint, yeah.
I just don't know if I could ever, like, we have a really great supervisor. She's
She is fantastic.
She's the best person I know. I swear. I talk about her like we've been friends since I was
Yeah.
a child.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
But no, yeah, she's a daily conversation in our house, and so no, we love it here, and I would probably never. I don't know if I would have been with someone else and hadn't had the experience we had and the support we had and the love and like all of the fundraising and everything that we've just done. I don't know that maybe we wouldn't have. Might have been a statistic where we didn't make it as long because
They're a big crutch.
yeah,
They help.
they've helped us a lot.
Yeah.
So.
As we kind of wrap up maybe our conversation today, I'm just so struck by this, like I said a little bit before, the singular act of love, for you, for your cousins, that has blossomed into this really tremendous thing, a vocation, a calling to serve children and families, and to be partners with our organization in doing just that. Some final thoughts maybe about your experience as foster parents.
I just, I'm excited to keep doing what we're doing. We're, honored to have received. We were talking about on the way here. Brigham said, I don't know if we've earned,
Feels unreal.
it doesn't feel like we've earned it just by, helping and doing what you're supposed to be doing. We feel like, but we
Well,
appreciate it, and we're just, we'll keep going. And I asked Megan, I said, if you need anybody, just let me know. We got some spots opening up, and that kind of thing. But we've really enjoyed our time foster parenting, and
I guess for me, it didn't feel like I had to do 1,000 things just to help these kids out. It's just the little things, like if they want to talk to you about something that to you might be boring, but to them it's the world. Or did you hear about Elon Musk making this rocket that can land with these robot arms that grab onto it? Yeah, that's really awesome. I don't know how he did it, but I mean, yeah, there's stuff like that all the time that it's just, yeah. I mean, anything they can talk about to you, that's an opener. If they can talk to you about the boring things, they'll talk to you about the important things.
So out of all that chaos, out of all of the energy and things that are going on in your household, it sounds like there's sort of this durable central bit of joy that comes from
Oh, yeah.
being
Very
with the
fulfilling.
kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our kids have gotten to the point they're like, it's been a while since we've had a new brother or sister around here. Like they were just talking about it last night. They're like,
Get a
we're gonna
little
get a
bored.
brother, we're getting a sister,
Yeah.
and
Love it.
that's losing 3 boys this year. The girls are like, so we're the oldest now,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't know. Guess we'll see.
It's been an adventure for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Vicky, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Honestly, we can't thank you enough. It is a partnership, and we can't do it without you. So, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for, we're created to connect, and it sounds like you do that well. And not only with just your community and your family, but others as well. And so keep on going and keep on doing and pouring into these youth and being that cheerleader to provide them with healing and hope.
I think it's pretty clear why you are our foster family of the year. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. From us to you, thank you for all you do for the kids in our communities. We really appreciate it. Vicky, thank you for your work to bring good folks like the Larsons in, and keep it up. And Vicky, tell us a little bit more about where we can find that information.
Absolutely. You can reach us at our website at stfrancisministries.org, or you can call toll free 866-999-1599. Select your state, and we will promptly return your phone call, or someone will answer and get you started in the journey.
All right. Thank you very much. So again, to Vicky, to Jasmine, to Brigham, thank you for this being with us on this second episode of Conversations. And God bless you and keep up the good work.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.